Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now August 28th of 2023, and given that we are inching closer toward the D23 event in which Disney's going to be making a handful of announcements, not all that many as originally planned by the way, due to all the cancellations and Bob Iger's cost containment plan going active, there's been a lot of things happening within the Star Wars franchise, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just Disney in general, such as the live-action remakes of the animated material. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into what's going on with Brie Larson. Alright, now we know that a lot of things that Brie Larson stars in goes to, of course, complete failure. We have seen what happened with Fast X, the Nissan commercials so far, which they have been slowly phasing her out. You guys may or may not have realized this. And also, let's not forget about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There is a lot to talk about today on exactly what Bob Iger and the Disney board recently did, and how it really is spelling doom for Brie Larson's career in the entire film industry. We already covered last week of how multiple studios right now want nothing to do with Brie Larson ever getting an acting gig with them because they know that she is box office poison just as much as Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So, moving onwards here, we know that The Marvels, alright, we talked about this yesterday, is still slated for that November 10th release date. Disney has been debating, by the way, on whether or not they want to delay this thing because of everything happening with SAG. They can't properly promote this film without the actors doing the interviews to promote it all. Of course, they can have people like directors and writers, really kind of saying a couple things here and there, more so directors and producers, by the way, but that's about it. And so I think that's going to really create a big hit on the film. However, with actress Brie Larson currently having many problems with Disney higher-ups, much drama has been happening between Brie Larson and, of course, Disney. However, one significant development has to do with how Brie Larson was recently fired from multiple Marvel projects as a result of the upcoming disaster with Marvels, as Disney is aware that will lose them so much money. Now, Bob Iger and the board recently decided to drop Brie Larson and fired her from the planned Captain Marvel direct sequel that was going to take place after the events of The Marvels and focus purely on her character. This is why the film was ultimately axed, and as it turns out, it wasn't directly linked to the cost containment plan by Bob Iger only. Additionally, Brie was also fired and removed from making multiple cameos in a planned second season of Ms. Marvel, and even making a significant cameo in Deadpool 3, as it turns out, that has now been removed. As it turns out, Larson was going to have a big cameo in the third Deadpool film during the second act of the movie that explores the multiverse with Ryan Reynolds. This was in, of course, the script and something that Disney was pushing for to expand the concept of the multiverse. Now guys, let me just say one thing about this real quick before I get to the next big piece of this development, is that I'm very much glad that Disney just gave her the boot from Deadpool 3, and they are making a lot of different changes right now, by the way. Bob Iger and the board, they are taking full advantage of the SAG and writer strike. Everything happening with WGA, everything happening with SAG, is basically giving Bob and the board the perfect scapegoat to blame things on the strikes, and they are doing everything that they can right now while they have the time to make the changes that need be to make this movie into something entirely different. The only good thing that's coming out of the Deadpool 3 changes right now is Brie Larson getting the boot. The bad, as we discussed 2 weeks ago, is that they are cutting a lot of things out. They are creating a lot of budgeting limitations, and a lot of things that you have hoped to see in Deadpool 3 will no longer be happening. And this is exactly why I think that Deadpool 3 is going to be the weakest of the trilogy, because it's going to be watered down, it's not going to be as violent, or it's not going to be as funny when it comes to the jokes, the traditional Ryan Reynolds jokes. It's going to be more Disney-fied jokes, so to speak. So, moving onwards, this is where things get even all the more involved for Brie Larson. You ready? So, she was also removed from that as well, since Disney is beginning to realize the backlash from the Marvels. Larson was also going to make 2 other big appearances that was going to pay decently for World War Hulk and Captain America New World Order for 2024, both of which she has been fired and removed from making cameos in those films. As of now, she only stands to return in Secret Wars so far and the other Avengers films. And even Larson has been making an ultimatum of walking away from those movies after what they did by firing her from several projects related to her ongoing cause for box office failures that she contributed to. The cost containment plan also played a major role in those decisions to reduce the amount of cast members per project to make them more smaller scale, and of course this ranges from the movies and the shows. Now look, we all know that Brie Larson is box office poison. Was she the direct cause as to why Fast X was a failure? Not so much, per se, but she definitely played a role in that. I think that fans are just tired of Fast and Furious, let's be real. But the entire decision-making process by Bob Iger and the board to give Brie the boot from Ms. Marvel Season 2, which may not even happen now because of all this budgeting nonsense that's happening within Disney, and the fact that they gave her the boot from Deadpool 3, New World Order, World War Hulk, and among more, just goes to show you that they want nothing to do with Brie Larson anymore, and they are slowly phasing her out as we speak. In fact, don't be too surprised if it's Disney that makes the call to give her the boot from Secret Wars and all the other Avengers films like Kang Dynasty, etc., etc. So, look, the writer's strike and everything happening with SAG, like I said earlier in this video, I think it's going to be the perfect scapegoat for Bob Iger and the board for the failure of the Marvels, for everything, of course, related to the current films that are coming out, all by Disney, even Wish. They may very well blame the strikes on why these films may very well not perform all that, well at the box office. Now, we talked about Wish, and so far, from what it sounds like, it's not quite as severe when it comes to their agendas being thrown into these movies, so there just may be hope for that movie Wish. That is their only saving grace right now for 2023. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that they made a good call regardless of diminishing Brie Larson roles in the MCU, and this is exactly why she is having an ongoing problem with the MCU and Disney specifically, and why she took this up with her agent and her manager, and how they two are getting involved in this massive fiasco. Brie knows that the MCU is the backbone to her career. Without the MCU, what else does she really have? She's got the Nissan commercials, and she's got basically Fast X Part 2 and Part 3. By the way, Universal also wants to drop her out of those films. We talked about that last week. So that's not good for her as well. So you could very well see an age where Brie Larson is just strictly rooted to commercials. And even Nissan, like I said before, they are slowly phasing her out with all the Nissan Z commercials. Those cars aren't selling all that well, so there's really not much need for her. So overall, guys, I would really like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.